Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Hindsight here for our third podcast, I believe. As always, I am Cameron Secure Hades Palazzo, your host for our next hour and a half discussion. And my co-host, only one this time because another one is currently stuck in transit. Freddie, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Freddie Silicate Boadu. I am, as we all know it, the Chocolate Man. I do a lot of the power rankings from time to time. Yeah. And
then, so joining us is this special podcast. I like to call it the VT Takeover. Two VT players. You guys introduce yourselves.
Yeah, my name's Joe Jacko. I'm the team captain and mid laner for Virginia Tech. And with me is Gavin.
Yeah, my name is Jacob Gavin Merkel. Everyone calls me Gavin though, so.
Feels bad?
Just call me Gavin, and I'm the jungler for VT.
Yeah, and so right now it's one VCU student and three VT guys, so I feel surrounded.
Former VT guy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You guys are all the same. Oh, crap. Hang on. Accidentally opened up something. Alright, so as we always do, we will be talking about the current standings of the Eastern Esports Conference. So starting at the top, no surprise here, University of Cincinnati sitting at 5-0. So interesting thing is that Virginia Tech, you guys actually got to verse them the first week, so you got the first iteration of Cincinnati. So what was it like when you guys versed them, like that first week way back when? Don't want to talk up at once. Yeah. Wait. 1 second. What the hell? Wait. Can you... Oh, God. Why am I getting issues right now? Slight error, 1 second. Okay, there we go. Holy crap, dude. My speakers just randomly stopped working.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I can't hear them. Alright, so whatever you guys said about Cincinnati, I couldn't hear, so if you could reiterate. I actually wonder if the podcast picked it up, but...
Okay. So we faced them the first week, and we didn't really have our main roster either. I don't know if they've had many changes since.
I believe they haven't. They've had a static roster since then.
Yeah, theirs has been the same the whole time.
Yeah. And we ended up going to a 3-game series. I think every single game was winnable from our side. I think.
Yeah, it was like really close when I was watching it.
Yeah, I think we overestimated the value of some of our picks, and our draft phase was just lackluster from like a player perspective, in the sense that like we didn't even really know what exactly we wanted to prioritize.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they obviously did an outstanding job, and they definitely, it was a hard fought series, and they definitely bullied us around. But I think coming up in playoffs, it should be even more interesting when we face them again, because I think we have a well thought out game plan, and we pretty much have narrowed down exactly like the priority of our picks, and picked up some new players. So
yeah, I hear. Freddie's been talking a lot about the new players. What, a new EDC and a top layer since you started the EEC?
Yeah, we have Chase Yade, the master top laner, and Fong Francis, our Diamond 1 AD.
Mm-hmm. So definitely good additions to any team, a master 2 player and a Diamond. But just talking about UC a little bit, it's shown that they're not an unstoppable team. I mean, like, you guys went 2-1, and you guys got the shaft because you had to verse them first. So you didn't get to see like how they play the game usually, unless did you do any like previous research on them, or did you just like, hey, we're versing a team called Cincinnati?
So we have a pretty good draft thing going on, I believe. The first couple weeks, we were just trying to figure out exactly how we were going to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
But Gavin does a lot of our pick ban research, so I guess he can talk more about it.
Yeah. So
we do a lot of like the customary like OPGG
Yeah.
search, but then like we have a bunch of people. So we have a remote coach. He lives in Cali, and he does a lot of that stuff. And we also have someone who helps us at Tech as well. And they kind of like we'll sit down and just talk through like what we want to do against a specific team, and like what matchups we want, basically like how we want to draft. And it's usually like an hour, maybe an hour conversation.
Yeah.
And it just gets sorted out that way. So
makes sense. But what I was more getting at is like, so like that first week when you first like, so going into Cincinnati, like how prepared were you? Like, was it just op.gg, or like did you like manage to find any like recordings of how they played together, or like past games or anything like that?
Oh, we actually found that like they were flexing together, so we looked at some of those and like what team compositions they like to play. And like one thing that I remember that stood out is what's their top lane? Is it Frygor? I think his name is Frygor. He loves Jarvan.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna pick Jarvan every game if you let him. Like that was something that just stood out, and that's something that can be abused. So
yeah. No, and that makes sense.
We didn't like watch VODs or anything of them. Like we can obviously I didn't know where we would find any VODs or anything. So
because like the point I'm trying to get at here is that like Cincinnati's saying 5-0, and right now the only team that's still left to verse them that can potentially take a game off of them is probably U of L, and we all know they've had roster issues lately. So
yeah,
most likely it's looking like UC is just going to go 8-0 for this tournament, but I don't think that's that bad, if that makes sense, because that'll mean we have 8 weeks of games to look at them, and then the other like teams, U of L, VCU, VT, who are sitting in the top 4 can most likely take a game off of them if they get the rematch.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely think we can take games off of them if we play them again. Like, especially, I had just switched into jungle, like, barely before we played against them, and I got, like, bodied game 2 and 3 by a Japanese import. Like, that's not gonna happen again.
Ooh.
So...
Yeah, look forward to watching.
I mean, I'm not gonna get bodied the way he did. Like, he bodied me at Rek'Sai when I was on Gragas, and, like, that shouldn't ever happen. So, I don't think he's gonna be able to do it against me later in the tournament. Because I'm just more comfortable on jungle.
That, Gavin, when the playoffs come around.
Yeah.
I'll just spam it in Twitch chat when the game's going on.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Alright, so enough about Cincinnati. So going on to you guys, sitting tied with second place with VCU, 4-1, only lost to Cincinnati. What have you got, like, since we kind of talked about how you guys work already, what are your thoughts so far in the tournament as a team? Like, you guys enjoy, like, is it challenging enough, or it's just kind of like, oh, there's only like 3 other teams that put on them that make us actually work in this, like, stuff like that?
I think when it comes down to it, a lot of our games seem like a wash, and it's kind of unfortunate because I think when you have those 2-0 games that are like 23 minutes or less, it's really not. It's not a lot of fun, I don't think, for either side.
Yeah.
And I understand the frustration that like other teams can have. Ultimately, it's helped have it when we play teams that are considerably like worse than us, or teams that we think we should beat pretty handily. A lot of times we want to focus on just having a clean game and ending quickly. Like when we take that first Baron, we want to end the game. We don't want to dilly-dally and mess around, because that's where a better team's going to capitalize.
Yeah.
And we treat every game like it's one of the best games we can play, and we always try and pick competitive picks and play at the highest level. So I guess sometimes it's a bit of a wash, but when we do play like higher tier teams like Cincinnati, UTK, we scrim a decent amount, and they definitely seem like they're trying to improve constantly. They're a fun team to play against.
Like the middle area where like they've lost they're sitting 3-2 right now, so like slightly above average win rate, but they're definitely like can move up into that higher tier, and they probably are putting the most effort into trying to change.
In my opinion, they're like a consistent like 4th or 5th team. Like they're always there.
Yeah.
In terms of like my power rankings, I always like struggle where I want to put them. I always put them like slightly below VCU, but never above like Towns. No, never below Towns. Yeah.
Oh, so you just switch.
I always
UVL and UTK, basically.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because like UTK, like again, I like casted one of their games in the beginning. I think they're a really good team. And I didn't know you guys were scrimming them, so I guess they are making a good job to try to improve. That's really nice to hear.
Yeah, I would say they're like the hardest working team from what I can tell.
Yeah, I would agree.
And that's what you like want. Like you want the lower tier teams to be putting in the effort to try and catch up. Because if everyone just like settles into where they are in the standings, then you just have a boring tournament. Because it's like, oh yeah, everyone's always going to get like Cincinnati's always going to get first, and whoever gets second, and then like you want improvement, and because that's where the fun begins when you get like UTK coming in and like I don't know, like taking a series off of Cincinnati. That'd be amazing to cast.
Yeah,
But,
for sure.
So definitely good to hear about UTK. So we talked about Tech. We just talked about UTK. Unless you guys have anything else you want to talk about them, jumping around in the standings a little bit.
Oh, a little bit. Oh,
No.
Are we doing predictions? We're doing predictions later, right?
So we'll do
Okay,
standings
my fault.
and
Yeah,
then
I
predictions
gotcha.
afterwards.
Dude, Gavin, you better calm down with that shit, son. I know what you're about to do.
Oh no, I really want to talk about that match, the UTK and VCU one, because maybe I'm jumping the gun a little bit here, but if UTK can upset VCU, then they have a chance to make playoffs. Like that's their path to playoffs, right? So-
Again, we can do that when we get to it.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
hypotheticals there.
Yeah.
But we know Gavin's at least super excited to get to the predictions.
He's about to flame the shit out.
Yeah, he's about to flame the shit out of my school. Holy shit.
I mean, you don't know what my prediction is gonna be yet, so you can see. You can wait and see.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a bit though. So going on, VCU, pretty. Who did they verse last week? It was not. I don't think it was that hard. It was Towson, and
Yeah.
Towson hasn't been showing up that well this tournament, I believe. I actually don't think I've seen a game of Towson. Have they? They definitely had a game streamed at this point, haven't they?
Let me check. They
Wait, who?
had-
Townsend has had a game
Towson.
streamed? Yeah.
Towson was recorded in week 2 against UTK, and they haven't been live streamed. They're live streamed against Cincy in week 8, and I believe that's it. Oh, they were recorded against us as well in
When's
week
that?
3.
Oh, week 3. Okay.
In week 3, yeah, they were
Interesting.
recorded. So
Well, yeah. So last week, nothing too big. I think the biggest game that VCU has played so far was, or at least in the past 2 weeks, was the Louisville game, and that one it's really hard to judge because there's like an equal amount of throwing on both sides. Did you guys see the game at all? I casted it, so.
Yeah,
I didn't see the game.
For like a game or two, I think.
Yeah, so basically that game, first off, it was incredibly unfortunate for Louisville because if you've looked at the Discord, you can see that they had to bench their jungler for being, just a very bad human being from what it sounded like. And-
I think the phrase they used was a college mix between unreformed Tyler 1 and Dardock or something like that. So
Yeah, I'm just trying to be polite, guys.
that was from the president of
the president and captain of their team.
Louisville. Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, Hamlet's the captain, but yeah, the president and coordinator, I think he is.
Yeah.
So yeah, they had to bench their starting jungler, and then they brought in the sub 3 hours before. No, it wasn't like 3 hours. It's like an hour before the game started. So
Oh, it wasn't bench. He's like permanently removed from that team.
yeah, he's like no longer part of the team. But they had to bring in an entirely new jungle like that day to versus VCU, and this was like a really big matchup because Louisville and VCU are probably like super even. And even then, bringing in the sub, they managed to take a game off of VCU, and I don't know. I just feel like VCU has consistency issues. Like even when they get leads, they can tend to stall games, and that's just bad. Like you don't want to stall a game which you are easily winning. And they also play around with our roster a little bit too much. So we have a sub in bottom lane. We have two starting. It's not like two starting ADCs. We have starting ADC and then a backup ADC that we sometimes put in for games, and then we have Quanzilla Zach as our. He's usually playing mid, and then we have our starting mid laner, Playdark, who is just super busy all the time and can't play most of the time.
Is he like an engineer or something?
I don't know. I think he's computer science.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. But yeah, he's like just. I think he's like either a junior or senior, and he just like has a lot of work, so he doesn't get to put that much time into playing. So I just think VCU's main problem is consistency. I mean, we have the talent. Like our top laner, like can pretty much 1v1 anyone up in top lane. I can't wait to see the VT game.
Yeah, I was about to say we'll see. We'll see when he plays against Chase.
It'll be very interesting to watch. I'm actually really hyped for the Week 8 game. That's gonna be really fun to watch. I hope I get the pass. Wait, I think I'm passing that one.
It's not getting streamed. No, it's not getting streamed.
Wait, it's not getting streamed? Holy.
No, VCU VT is not getting streamed.
That's a shame.
Dude, we have to make that happen because that's a second and third like place match right there.
Yeah, I think Skylar is gonna stream it for our like school on Wednesday. Like we're gonna record it and stream it Wednesday.
I think that's like the most hyped game coming up. Like, hang on, let me look at the coming up games.
Because everyone else is just kind of.
Like you have UC versus Louisville tomorrow, but I don't think I don't know if it's getting streamed, and B, it's still Louisville has like their roster problems.
Unless Louisville can like take it, I don't think it matters. Yeah. And then
Tech versus VCU, and then what's week 9? It's like nothing really.
Yeah. Week 9 is actually that's the end of. Actually, no.
That's the end of regular season.
Yeah, but like you have like. VCU versus West Virginia, like that's pretty easy to guess. Tech versus Kentucky. Kentucky easily wins that. Nope.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Kentucky easily wins that. Cincinnati versus UTK. I mean, that'd be interesting, but I mean, unless Cincinnati pulls like Penta ADC comp, I don't think they'll lose that. And then Louisville versus Towson, and even with their roster issues, I think they'll take that. So again. Most hype game coming up is Tech versus VCU, so hopefully we get that fixed, because I was actually really looking forward to watching that game get streamed.
So I actually have a question for you guys. So we did talk about how like Playdark is like, he has like a lot of work and like he's like doing all this stuff like that won't allow him to focus on the game. Mm-hmm. And I understand that we're all like, full-time college students and whatnot. So like overall, do you guys feel like you guys playing on this D1 team, it should be considered more like a D1 kind of like sport because you guys are like putting in the time for it, or like do you think it should still stay where it is now, where a lot of schools aren't backing it as much, it's not getting as much funding or like kind of support as like other bigger sports in like your university?
So
Joe, you want to take this one, Joe?
Yeah, I have an opinion. I'll let you guys go first, though.
I don't know. I feel like it's in a very weird position because of just the fact that when's the last time you heard of a new sport? You know what I mean? Like tennis, soccer, anything's been around for years and years and years. So like it's just a very weird position, and it's a hard sell to make because. Especially like even the college Riot streams don't get that much support, so it's a hard sell in any way. But I just think it's a very interesting realm of competitive. It has a very interesting competitive nature, and like that's what I love about video games in general. I've always gravitated towards competitive games, and I like that you can be better than people just by simply putting in the time and practicing to get better. I want there to be a day where there's funding at a collegiate level, but I don't know how soon or far away that day is, I guess.
Well, and this is something I actually can think about a lot, so feel free to stop me at any point. Joe, you actually brought up a good point about like one day it's going to hopefully you'll get across the nation or have collegiate funding, and like we're already making the few steps over there, like especially over in California. I think like the biggest story is like Irvine has a full scholarship program over there for their league team, their Dota team, and their CS:GO team. And then obviously like as more esports come into it, they are willing to fund them. Like Irvine pretty much takes all every collegiate thing they enter, they pretty much win. I know PUBG, they're in the top of it. League, Overwatch definitely. So they're like the shining example of how like they even have like an arena for their games that they play in. So
Oh, really?
yeah, like
that's
they
pretty cool.
look that up.
Wow.
Like they have like an arena built and they use it for events, and it's like, oh, wow, it's like
Wow,
that's the
that's-
best example of it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's like, I think it's more just you have to show colleges that it's worth investing in, because that's like the biggest thing. It's like college still has to make money, and like they're not going to put money into making varsity programs if it's not going to like make a return, because like obviously that means a lot, because like that means you have to have like setups, like you're providing the computers at that point, player beings, like the coaching staff, and like making sure you're actually coaching. It's like the college's image, because those players now represent the college instead of like what we have now, where like we are like part of the college but we don't represent it. So it's like a long line, but you have to show that it's worth them like funding you basically. And
Right.
again, like esports gets bigger and bigger every year, so like once it gets like what the projected in 2020 is supposed to hit, like I think it's even sooner, that's supposed to be like $1 billion industry.
Yeah, I heard something about that. I think it's
Yeah, like it's rapidly growing, so I don't think it's on. I think maybe like in the next decade we'll probably see it more widespread, because it's right now a handful of colleges that have a varsity program, but I think it's slowly going to start growing, especially in California. I'd be very surprised if the UC schools like all don't adopt it within like the next 5 years or something like that.
I think one of the hardest things as well is like the fact that games change, right? So like League's been around a while, but for the most part, every other game prior has just died shortly after its creation. You know, like a couple years down the road, like the player base just drops, and like that also makes it hard, because then like what deems a game having enough people to be like competitive enough to be at a college? You know what I'm saying? Basically,
Yeah.
Like, and that's why like having like a pro scene that's very stable. Like you have like League. I mean, League's about to hit a decade old here. What, in 2 years, 3? They came out in 2009, right? So 2019.
we're in season 7, so
It'll be 3 years.
Yeah, but
I think.
the whatever it's
the beta,
yeah. So roughly like 2-3 years, it'll be a decade-year-old, which is like a lot for competitive gaming. Because saying like a game has a strong player base 10 years after it comes out, I think only like WoW can attest to that. And
Well, what about StarCraft? Wasn't StarCraft for a while too?
like, do you consider all of StarCraft? So like StarCraft 1, StarCraft 2?
That's the question. You could say the same for CS:GO, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you consider 1.6 the same as Go and the rest of them?
So we just consider the like franchise then, because then you also have to consider like Call of Duty throughout all its like multiple games.
Right.
But I think that's the point. Is there are games that like have transcended more than like 10-ish years and have kept a stable player base for it. I did want to go back to what Freddie's question is, like treating it as like a D1 varsity sport just by the players. And that kind of just comes down to the player, because obviously, so like right now we have to face facts, and like this is like all the effort we're putting into it. We're not getting the same fame as like if you were doing this for like football or like soccer or something like that. Like this is just something that like you're passionate about. So how much that's worth to you, like to drive and like be like the top of like EEC, is like that's up to the player. And like personally for me, I always take it that like collegiate esports should be upheld to the same standard, because I was really big into Overwatch my freshman year, so my like last year, and the University of Toronto, they had a team, their Overwatch team, they put in roughly 8 hours a week of just scrims, which I mean for college students it's pretty good. When they have to like study, and like all like let's be real, a lot of the like collegiate teams, they're all like computer science majors, so we all know how much of a hell that is from just stories or friends. And they went from being like, so like the league equivalent is like a bunch of diamond players to a bunch of challenger players by doing that. Like they were all, I think like 5 of the 6 players were all in like the challenger Overwatch, which is top 500. So if you put in the effort, like, and you're passionate enough to put drive, like, then you can easily reach the top in collegiate. Because I feel like there's a lot of teams who just get by whatever it's called, just get by mechanics alone rather than just hard work. Like they're just naturally talented. So if you like have the like the work put up behind that talent, then you can get the top of collegiate esports, and then that's how you push stuff like this at colleges. Because like if you're like, oh yeah, we go to VCU and we've won all these awards in collegiate esports, and we can like say that's worth something that you have a winning team.
Yeah.
So it just kind of comes down to how the players want to treat it, because that's still a mentality that it's just a game.
Yeah, it's something that's becoming a thing as of recently. Because I was talking to some of my friends at UNC about this, and we were just like talking about it, because like they were talking about how like they have like last year, I knew some guy who was doing like CSL with me and some other guys, because we were like Division 2, so we played them. We like streamed them a few times, and they were like talking about it, and then like we were talking about how like how UNC had recently had like allegations against like D1 athletes, and them doing like they were setting up fake classes for them to go to, stuff like that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, so like they were like setting up like fake classes for those like D1 athletes to go to, because they basically were stupid as fuck. I mean, stupid as hell. But at the same time, basically, it was like, all right, these guys like other like programs, right? Like, because like we see like collegiate League of Legends kind of like a activity that you're kind of investing time into, but like and then on top of that, you have to focus with your like school too. So if you're an engineer, it's like kind of like tough luck. Like you still have to like practice, like you guys' practice schedule is probably like what, like 3 times a week, something like that, or less. I don't know.
Depends on the week.
Yeah, depends on the week, pretty much. But
yeah, so like at the same time, you guys still have to put in the time for it, and it's like these collegiate athletes, like football players, basically are going to like a made-up like African like studies class that like literally the teacher is probably their coach, giving them like free A's. I mean, obviously UNC paid off someone to like kind of like downplay it, but like it's just kind of like, I don't know, I was just kind of thinking about it. I was like, these people putting in like work for like kind of like sports that aren't like as broadcast, like kind of just getting shafted. But
yeah,
it's just...
and that's just like like American culture in a general, where like sports are like so like valuable. Because like, I mean, college football, like that's huge. Like college esports, barely followed by like even regular fans. So that's just the nature of it.
College football is like a $1 billion business. So on its own,
it's gonna be forever before college esports is barely getting there right now. It's gonna be forever before college esports falls. But
for sure.
I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. Like modern day esports is only what I would say. Like modern esports didn't really start getting big until what, like 2012 or something like that.
Just about
early 2010s. So like we're only like 5 years into it, and we're already this big. So it's only going and we haven't shown any signs of getting smaller. So it's just I feel like it's just a matter of time before we eventually get there.
Except for EU viewership. Though.
Yeah, well, EU will. I don't even want to go into. I know EU has like a bunch of problems with it. Well, like the problem with EU is just the language barrier, and like just it's there's a lot more issues, and I don't feel like getting into it.
For sure.
Anyway, I think we talked enough about that. Unless you guys have any like last final thoughts on just the nature of college esports.
I mean, I can say we take it pretty seriously, and like we want to win, and we put in the time. So that's just kind of
And people like you are teams like you who are the ones that will eventually push college clubs to be considered more seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure all the teams too. Despite how people joke around on the Discord and stuff, I'm pretty sure
how we all got banned because.
Yeah, we had to mute the chat and everything.
Feels bad. But yeah. Anyway, continuing back onto the standings. So that was pretty much a segue off of the VCU talk. So Louisville was up next, and obviously the big thing to talk about with Louisville is their sub jungler.
I mean, I didn't think their original jungler was that good anyway. So
well, I was looking it up, and he was only plat, I think, and it's super hard because
They didn't they say in the what was
He
it
basically
called?
gets new accounts.
Yeah, he had a new account.
Because
so
his
it's probably-
accounts are permabanned or whatever. He
Yeah.
had like 6+ accounts permad, so they kept getting new accounts, and that's why his rank was like lower
Yeah.
or something.
Because I was trying to I was trying to do research on the team. I was like, wait, why is their jungler like he's like plat or like gold? And I'm like, what? Hello? How is this guy like a starter on this team? The rest of them are like diamond.
Yeah.
So it's super hard, but I didn't think the new jungler played that bad, considering he only had like a week, not even that, like an hour notice that he was playing at a collegiate esports game against one of the top teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Individ-
you
Okay.
go. You can go.
Oh, okay. Like individually, he didn't look that bad, like mechanically or anything, but like he just looked really out of sync. You know, and that's
I felt like he's
obviously
more-
like, you know, that's
Yeah,
that's
he's-
gonna happen if you come in an hour before. But
He was like pretty passive. He wasn't willing to make like big plays or anything. But like he was there. He was jungling. He made some good ganks and he put pressure on. He did better than Sven Garen.
Oh, dude, no.
oh,
Jesus Christ.
Right,
This one's lost.
I can rant about Sven for an hour, but
Dude,
basi-
they look horrible.
we can talk about that after if you guys want. That's a big segue. I don't want to go down that road. But yeah, like I don't think they're new jungler, and I didn't get to see their games last week. Did anyone else see them?
I just
won.
know that jungler is like Raiden or something like that. And he played like J4, I think twice. And, I mean, he didn't look like anything special.
Oh, they versed Kentucky last week, so you can't really talk about that.
I'm talking about like the first game they played with him.
Yeah,
that was against VCU,
yeah,
right?
against VCU.
Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't take it.
Yeah, because didn't he just play? He played
Actually, they
J4
did
and-
take a game. Never mind.
Yeah, they took. That's what I was saying. Like for a jungler that they got, an hour before the game started, they managed to go 2-1 against one of the better teams in the tournament.
Yeah.
Wait, how did VCU drop a game? Does anyone
Yeah.
remember?
They like super through.
In like was it game 1 or game 2?
Game 1. Basically, what happened? I made a joke about this casting. Is our ADC just kept getting caught out. So at the beginning of every fight, they just lost because it was always a 4v5, and they just won off of that because every team fight they lost because the ADC was always dead. And then
Yeah.
second, that's because we were starting in the other ADC. Then we swapped ADCs, and Biroga, our starting ADC, just can position better usually, and he just
And I think
just melted with. We had Twitch Yana, so he just melted everyone with the protection from that.
I think I mentioned that in my power rankings too. That like, I mean, although I think that VCU like right now is number 3. Like, if you can't beat like a team that basically is a fresh squad, has barely practiced with a new jungler, and drop a game, that's a little alarming.
Yeah,
That's why I thought that Townsend would probably take a game from them too, because like Louisville and Townsend are kind of neck to neck in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, I don't think. Well, not neck to neck, but like.
yeah. Hamlet's
so,
gonna come for your ass.
basically, there's that middle like of the pack where it's just basically UTK, like Louisville, and then Townsend, right? And I feel like on any good day, Townsend could maybe take a game from like Louisville, and then like UTK, for the most part, would be above all of them, but at the same time, like anything can really happen. Like UTK on most days would beat all of them, but
Well, all I want to like at least my final point on Louisville is like tomorrow's game is going to be their big like, can they compete with this new jungler because they're versus Cincinnati. So if they make a good showing in Cincinnati with this new jungler, then I feel like they easily stay top 4.
Top 4, yeah.
Like, because again, like I don't think that like I think the new jungler is decent. Like I don't think they really like super downgraded if that makes sense. Because again,
Also,
I love.
What are their names? The 2 junglers that we're talking about right now.
It's
I
the
forget.
one guy's was like Dot something.
Yeah, it's like something
and
super
Radian
random.
and Radian.
Hang on. I'll like go find it, but yeah, like the first starting jungler, his like name was like super random. Wait, where's he starting? Oh, I accidentally collapsed it. Let's see.
His name was Daabada.
Dab.
So I don't even know how you pronounce that, to be honest.
Dab. And like
Davada? I don't know.
yeah, and then it was also on Product 29 without C.
Oh, okay.
Product 29. Yeah, I don't know. I think U of L's big reveal will be tomorrow with how well they do. Like if Cincinnati completely stomps them because their jungler can't keep up with Japanese import, then I think UTK or Towson could potentially come up and compete for them for top 4. But if they like show that they can still keep up with Cincinnati, which I think beforehand they could have, I think they easily stay top 4.
UTK is the only one that can like take their spot at top 4, right? I don't think Towson can.
So Towson, how many more we have 3 more games, and Towson
3 more,
plays
yeah.
Towson plays in all of them, I believe. Yeah, Towson plays in all of
Yes,
them.
they do.
So Towson right now would have to win them all to go 5-3.
Yeah. But they also play UC in week 8 and
Yeah,
U of L in week 9. So
they still got some pretty hard matchups. So
yeah. So I don't
They
think
have to go
could.
3-0 at this point, and
Yeah.
so Towson most likely UTK 3-2 right now. What do you have to get? What is it 5-3 that you have to get to pull to get to the playoffs? I don't think I've ever like considered that. Like, what do you need to get playoffs?
I don't know.
Let's like assume 5-3. So UTK.
You could maybe do it with 4-4 depending on how like the games shake out, but 5-3 to be safe probably, yeah.
So UTK versus VCU tomorrow, Kentucky round 8, and then Cincinnati. Ooh, UTK has a really hard.
Oh yeah, they have 2 of the top 3 teams in the last 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, that's gonna be hard. That if they make it, so they get Kentucky, obviously. So they go 4-2. So yeah,
I don't know why this whole
they
entire
probably
time I
4-4.
thought. I don't know why this whole entire time I thought playoffs was top 6. It's top 4.
It's top
Yeah.
4. Oh, they have
It's
to.
only
beat,
top 4.
Basically, they have to beat VCU tomorrow because I don't think they can beat Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Because the Kentucky's pretty much the bye week for them, and then yeah, I don't think they can beat Cincinnati week 9. So they have to win tomorrow if they want to get playoffs.
Well, let's see. So U of L plays Cincy tomorrow, right? So they I would assume they lose that game. So they go to 4-3, right? Then they have a bye week 8, and then they play against Towson in week 9. So let's assume they win that, right? So they're 5-3. So UTK would have to go 3-0 if that happens to match the score and take top 4 potentially.
UTK would only have to win 2 of the next games.
Oh, they would have to win 2. Ooh,
Yeah,
my fault.
Towson has to win 3 to tie,
Yeah.
and I don't think they can do that. UTK has to win 2, so they have to win VCU and their game against Kentucky to tie Louisville.
The biggest problem is Louisville has the win in there, like and when they played each other.
Yeah,
But
so
wait, is that the tiebreaker though? Like, is that stated in
I
the
don't know.
rules?
Yeah, I don't know the
It
tiebreaker
is.
rules, so
Okay, yeah, I don't know. So
yeah, so I don't know. So
wonder if-
UTK is still in the running for playoffs, and I feel like we can go more into depth with this when we get to predictions. So we're almost done with standings, so let's get to that. We talked about a lot about UTK. We talked about Towson. I think we can just talk about the bottom 3 altogether: West Virginia University, Marshall, and Kentucky. So I always like talking about Marshall because Marshall is this team that really interests me. That they're just a team that I always say that like always exceeds my expectations for like what they put together because their highest players are Platt, and they always manage to at least like not lose super hard. Like they always put up a fight, but they always lose. Like it's just like sad, and I just feel like it's mechanical skill that keeps them back.
Yeah. We haven't played them yet, so we play them next week.
we play them Monday. We play
You
them
play
on
tomorrow?
Monday.
Okay.
Yeah, we play them tomorrow.
Yeah, so I'd honestly like to hear you guys' opinion on that, but like from what I've seen, Marshall just like they never like super lose, but like they always at least get a game that go to a half hour. But it's just the mechanical skill. Like they get out farmed in lane, and there's like in like matchups they just always lose them, and then it's just like a slow bleed. And like that at least shows potential because it just means that you have like some like action like physical thing that you work about, like, and that can just be worked on by grinding hours of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could tell you, I don't think the games are gonna go half an hour tomorrow. I think they'll be under 25 minutes or 25 minutes.
Yeah,
Are you already calling it in favor of Clap Nation right now?
Yeah, I am. I mean,
Jesus
if
Christ.
you just look at the top lane, right? They have a gold 2 top laner, right?
Yeah.
Against a master tier player, like that's just gonna go horribly. And Chase is like the kind of player who's just gonna solo kill you over and over again. He's not gonna like go easy on you.
Go nice.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He'll just take the counter matchup and smash you over and over.
Mhm.
So
All right. Yeah.
just
So
there, it's just so easy for us to get advantages and then just snowball that because I think we snowball games pretty well.
and
So
makes sense obviously when you have like, and again that's Marshall's issue. It's just like their player skill level is just so low. Like they actually macro pretty decent, like well, I mean for a bunch of plat to gold players, but it's just micro that like they are severely behind on. And
yeah.
and again like that's like I'd say that's better because I feel like macro is harder to learn than micro. Because micro you can just grind games. Like that's just you sit down like 2 to 3 hours, maybe 4 if you want to put the time in a day, play some ranked, and just start grinding.
Yeah, I mean that's just solo queue play. You don't even have to play with your team to like.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like that's just like you can sit like if you want to you can get better like that, but you have to put the time in. Macro is like something that can just completely go over someone's head and they can never learn it. But micro is something I feel like everyone can eventually learn. It just takes some longer for some people. And
I think I think WVU is like the opposite problem though, where they're like all are supposed like I think their team is all diamond, but they're just when we played them they had no sense of macro whatsoever. Like they just had no idea. Like I felt like they had no idea what was going on the entire game.
Mhm.
They were clueless in the sense of like they just would trade, a tier 3 tower for 2 towers constantly. I felt like every single time we would just take 2 towers, they would take 1, and then we'd be like, okay, well, we just won that without even fighting you. So,
and again, and that also could be helped with. I don't know if WVU has any like coaching staff for them, or I think don't all top 4 teams have like some sort of coaching staff. I know you guys mentioned it before. UC has at least a main coach. It's the Rangar guy who's in the Discord, I believe.
Yeah.
Or at least the coordinator somewhat. And then I don't know about Louisville. I know they said they're a small club, so they might not. But I know Hamlet takes a lot of control over how the teams run there, so he might at least like put some kind of research into macro play. And that might be what some of these lower tier teams are lacking. It's just some like sort of support staff to help them learn macro better.
Yeah, I mean having a coach who like knows what he's talking about the game is like so helpful because a lot of times like I could be biased towards my decision because obviously maybe I in the heat of the moment I just think I'm right, and then having another person just there being like, no, you're wrong, this is why you're wrong,
and that's like
just so insanely helpful.
But that's like what's so hard about like getting a good coach is like and I don't know if you guys ever saw it, but the Pastry Time did a good interview with Reapered about like just coaching for C9 and whatnot, and he said something about like coaches being a coach is hard because you have to garner the respect of your players and like have them know you know what you're talking about, because the moment you say something wrong they're going to jump on you and like call you on your bullshit. You can't like bullshit being a coach. Like you have to actually know what you're talking about, and that's why it's so hard to find someone who like can, like as you said Gavin, like take you out of your bias, like sit you down and say you're wrong, this is why you're wrong, and then make you believe that you're wrong. And that's just hard to find.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
I got a question for you guys in general. Like, basically, if you have to dissect your team right now, like, and be honest about everything, like, basically, what are you guys' like biggest strengths and what are you guys' biggest weaknesses?
I think strengths, our comms are pretty relaxed in the sense that like I think anyone who needs to speak or like needs to get a point across in game gets it across without any bad feelings or anything like that. Like I think our communication is very very good, and I think it's probably. I obviously don't know the comms of the other teams in the tournament, but I like to think that we have like a pretty good, a decent amount of respect for everyone else on the team. I think another strength we have is pick ban. I feel like every single time we play, we get the better of pick ban. I think we understand exactly what we want to play, and there's just too many threats on our team for these other teams to deal with in pick ban. And I think the more that we've played together, just the better our bot lane has become with communicating with each other, our mid jungle synergy, our top jungle synergy, like just players working together in game has vastly improved as well. And that's for strengths. I mean, Gavin probably could talk about weaknesses.
Joe can't see the weaknesses, lol.
VT's jungler is pretty garbage. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, he sounds terrible.
I'm still struggling a little bit with jungle, to be honest. Like I switched from mid, and I'm still learning it. So a lot of times that's a struggle for me, at least. And Smite's another player who switched over to support, and well, he was originally a mid laner.
Jesus Christ, the VT, the team of mid laners.
We have a ton of mid laners.
If you guys had three mid lanes just to run it down, you guys would easily win this tournament.
Oh, for sure. But that's one issue. I don't know if Joe has anything else.
Yeah, I guess the role swaps were just. I mean, it's something we've gotten used to. I think every single week it's definitely better. Just as people expand their champ pools and get more comfortable with the role, we finally got Smite to play solo queue.
Yeah,
so.
God bless.
Oh god.
God bless.
Dude, I can feel bad for him though, because solo queue support is just the worst thing in the world. God, I would never do that. If I get autofilled to support, I play Janna and I'm just like, okay, team, I'm not even gonna care about this game. I'm gonna let you guys run in there, do your monkey business, and hopefully we win. Because if I care about this game, I'm gonna yell at all of you.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Like, I don't know. Personally, I've just been having a lot of trouble with it. Like, just recently. I don't know. Like, my KDAs will be like the best. It's just everybody's just like trying.
Freddie, the KDA player.
Dude,
Freddie, you don't like playing Lulu Janna every game unless they're banned and just doing your AD carry?
I actually do not like Janna at all. Like, I actually don't like
I don't think anyone likes Janna.
Really? Yeah. She's way too boring for me. And I feel like, honestly, like, half the solo queue players that you actually get Janna, like, you can abuse them really easily just because they don't know what they're doing. Like, if you get them behind in lane, it helps. But, I mean, then again, it's a late game. All she has to do is press hard and send her little team and stick over. But I don't know. Just my opinion.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people have been kind of upset about the Ardent meta, but before we get more onto that, so we've talked about WVU, their kind of issues, Marshall's issues. Does anyone have spicy Kentucky memes that they would like to share with the rest of the class before we move on?
Not really.
Yeah,
we haven't played them, so I don't know.
We play them week 9.
Yeah, you'll see why. It's just
bad.
Yeah,
I think the only thing I said in my power rankings is just they need to develop their club to go find better players.
They just have
they're
like issue with everything. Well, it's pretty much what you're gonna say. Like, they have players who probably just they have shown no sign of improving at all. I mean, I haven't kept. I mean, obviously, I'm not tracking their OP.GGs and watching from the increase in rank, but they still have a bunch of gold silver players, and the average team is usually about D5, D4. So you're gonna lose every game if you can't even field a plat. Well, no, they have a single plat, and he's their jungler who can't even stay connected into a game. So.
Oh Lord. I mean, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks. I'd be annoyed with that. But.
Mm-hmm. But
I think Kentucky is what our VT was last year. It was just a group of friends that came together as oh, we're gonna do this. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna win some games. And we're not gonna take it that seriously. And then they come into the tournament and get bodied. But other than that, our team didn't get bodied. Too bad, Freddie.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I mean, you got bodied out of the first round of playoffs, but
No, it was like the second
Oh,
round. but still.
second round. My fault. Second.
Yeah, still. I mean, it's like top 32. That's really not that bad. I thought it was pretty good. Oh well, continue.
But I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you guys if we had like last year, if we had actively searched out people, like Joe was here last year.
Yeah, but I didn't play. Yeah.
Yeah, and then again, the thing is, we have done a good job this year. Well, from what I've seen, you guys have done a good job this year. Like, just making sure we find these players.
Mhm.
Like Chase, for instance, found them at Gobberfest. Like, Kentucky, don't know where they found their players again. It's like they're more just like.
I think it's also just like some clubs, they always just like either A, like they just think advertising won't do anything, or B, it's just like if the gamers are naturally just going to find your club. But like I know VCU, we recently had like a really big recruitment influx because for the longest time, how we got people in the club is VCU just and this is probably like a lot of other schools, they just host a day where all the clubs like just gather in one area. They have like their booths up and whatnot, and they try to like get you to come out to their like general body meetings and whatnot. And that's how like esports at VCU. That's how we did most of our recruitment. It was like, yeah, we're gonna like show everyone who come in this semester like we're a thing and tell them about our GBM and all the stuff we do. And that's it. Like if you didn't come to that meeting, you either found us on Facebook by like searching for us or like a friend brought you along. But recently, our new Overwatch coordinator, she put up a bunch of like actual advertisements. Like she like made a poster for it. She put it up on like one of the busier like one of our busier halls, and like had like even like tearaways for like contact information and whatnot. And we got like 25 people to sign up for our Overwatch tryouts that were like new, I think.
Yeah.
So advertising works, people. Like, you're not going to get everyone. Like, they're not just all going to magically find your club. Like, you're going to miss people. And then, like, sometimes you will find the, like, challenger or, like, high-tier players who can, like, come and play for your club.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you the way so last year, when I joined the club, it was just, Gobbler Fest, is our like our booth day, and it's on the main like area of campus, and like last year when I joined, it was just like one table and there was one person sitting behind it, and it was just kind of blah, and it was hard to find. Like it wasn't advertised that well.
Yeah.
This year we kind of went all out, and we had like a huge tent. We had a bunch of the like banners and stuff, like we had a bunch of stuff. I think we had like Super Smash Bros set up on a GameCube for people to play.
Yeah, our Smash Club here, they always any recruitment thing, they always bring a TV and they have a Smash set, and they have like a we'll pay you $1 if you can beat one of our players. And it's always fun to watch that.
Yeah,
that's actually how we found. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying last year was not the best example. I mean, I couldn't be there because I had to go back to a funeral. But all right, continue.
But I mean, that's actually how we found Chase. Is he just kind of meandered over to the tent and was like, "Yeah, I'm master top laner. Can I play with you guys?" And then
yeah. So
ever since then, it kind of just went,
Moral of the story: advertising works. UK needs to do some of it to try and field better players on their team. And maybe they're not interested in that, but if they want to get any wins, they're going to have to. Like, there's no way they're ever going to get a win against even one of the bottom tier teams like this. All right, so unless anyone else has any other things to say about any of these 9 teams, we now will move on to predictions for next week's matches or tomorrow's matches.
Okay.
All right, so Marshall versus Virginia Tech. Marshall easily wins. I don't think we have anything else to talk about there. We can move on to the next one.
I think I disagree, actually, believe it or not. I think it's going to be a hard-fought one, but I think Virginia Tech can pull it out.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard-fought 2-0 for Virginia Tech. But
2-0, 20, less than 20. I'm gonna go down. I'm going to say less than 23, for you.
Less than 23. Yeah. Quoting Gavin on that.
I think we're going to do it. Right, what do you think, Joe?
I mean, I'd be surprised if at least one of the games isn't sub 20.
Oh, sub 20.
Sub 20 from Joe Jacko.
Okay.
All right, well, I'm really looking tomorrow for those screenshots of the times. I'm gonna keep Gavin and Joe to their promise. Again, being more serious, I don't think there's anything to talk about. Marshall, we talked about their issues. Tech, you guys are seem super strong in this tournament. I'd be very surprised if Marshall can beat you guys. All right,
Yeah.
Gavin, you said you had some very interesting things to talk about. So Virginia Tech versus not Virginia Tech, VCU versus UTK.
Oh, I was just saying, like, we scrimmed UTK quite a few times, so we know them, like, pretty well. And, like, as Joe was saying earlier, like, they're a really hardworking team. So I would like to see them upset. I don't think they can do it. I think it'll be
so what's UTK's
2-0
like
for
how?
VCU.
Let me spin this
But-
off. So how would UTK upset this? Like what lane, like what strat would they try to pull on VCU to like try to upset them? Like, or is it like their mid laner getting a lead and then just kind of going off with it? Their jungler just like camping bot? Like how would they
I
do
personally
it?
think their bot lane is the strongest.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, they lost X main ZX, which is their ADC, because he withdrew for after our match with them. So I don't know how good their bot lane is anymore, but I would say that used to be the win condition. But I mean, I think it just has to be their jungler popping off.
Yeah, I
like,
think it's just
that's
their
the only
early
way.
game.
So
Yeah.
like
It's just
they
a
need to
super
draft like
early
a
game.
carry jungler, like even though like and like give their top lane the tank basically is what you're saying.
I mean, their top laner already plays a lot of tanks.
Okay.
And like Kled, I think, is his other his one damage champion. But I think it just has to be their jungler, because otherwise their lanes just aren't gonna hold up.
Yeah, I mean, if they can get him on a Kled Shen Galio, then like he can just TP in and make a play, or ult in and make a play. And I think that's exactly how they want to play. Is just get an early lead and then force the 5v4 fights, and then they can win. That's basically how they would do it.
Alright.
Also, maybe if they another like potential if they drafted like all for late game, held on, and
Yeah.
like VCU, I think they struggle with like closing games a lot of the time.
Yeah, but VCU also
So-
always drafts this. Like VCU, I honestly think VCU is like the TSM of this. Not the good part of TSM, but like they always draft the late games to go in comps. Like if you always notice, like we always have like at least one of the mega tanks, some scaling ADC. We usually go Ardent support, and then like some mid laner that
And
either
also-
scales or is a control mage.
And you guys have the same weak early game
Yeah.
to then, I would assume. Yeah. But I mean, VCU struggles to close games too when they do get a lead. Do you know what I mean?
I know that, but I just feel like UTK can't beat. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
UTK is as mechanically skilled as VCU is, and I just feel like if you try to like pound for pound versus VCU at their game, I think they're just going to lose.
No, I agree.
I would
just
agree.
want them to win.
Yeah.
So, I think they work hard, and I want them to.
I can agree with you guys though on your first one where like their jungler just pops off, gets an early game lead, and VCU is just on the back foot with like a 5k gold deficit the entire game, and then UTK just takes it away from there. But I feel like that's a big if, and I think it's going to be 2-0 VCU.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to talk about this game more for the like implications of who could make playoffs, because this is like the must-win for UTK to make playoffs.
So we could go
They
into
have
that.
to upset either VCU or Cincy.
Yeah, and I feel like VCU it's the easier one of the two to upset.
Yeah, for sure.
We can go into because we were talking about that a little bit earlier. So going back to the standings, so the top four pretty much have it secured. Cincinnati would have to like super sandbag to.
You mean the top three?
Top three. So top three pretty much have it. They would have to super sandbag the next 3 weeks to not make it to the playoffs, assuming that you need a 5-3 record. UC would have to lose all three, and VT and VCU would have to lose 2 of the 3 to even have a chance of like not. Actually, if we're assuming 5-3 gets you through, then Cincinnati already made it through. Like, there's no way they don't. Even if they sandbag the next 3 games. And then Tech and VCU would have to lose all 3 of their games to not even make it, because they would have a 4-4 record then.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Louisville, UTK, and Towson then. So Towson, I think we talked about it earlier, has no chance with their matchups.
They have to win all 3 of their games,
Yeah,
right?
but with their matchups.
Oh, yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Because Towson gets to verse Kentucky, so next week is a free one. But Cincinnati and then Louisville they have to beat and
those are like 2 top 4 teams. So
but like Cincinnati, there's like you'd have to really show up to try and beat them, and like I think Towson would only have
there's
to.
no chance.
Yeah, like they would have to come out with some like special cheese to beat Cincinnati. And then Louisville, like even with their new jungler, I think can still manage to win with Towson. So going on, UTK, yeah, again in a similar boat with Towson, they have the VCU and Cincinnati, and that's a really hard like end of the season matchup.
Yeah, UTK basically it depends on what the tiebreaker is, right? Because they lost against Louisville. So if they end up with the same record at what was it, 5-3?
Yeah. So let's talk about
It
Louisville.
depends on like what the tiebreaker is.
Yeah. So
To who gets out.
Louisville is sitting 4-2 right now. They verse Cincinnati tomorrow. So assuming they lose against Cincinnati tomorrow, and by the way, I'm saying I think Cincinnati takes that next game. If we're talking about predictions still, Cincinnati beats them. So Louisville's sitting at 4-3. They get a bye. They get a bye week 8. So week 9 they have to beat Towson if they lose in Cincinnati tomorrow. They have to beat Towson. So Towson actually can upset Louisville. Wait, hold up. So if Louisville doesn't get 5-3, then they might still be top 4 with a 4-4 record.
Potentially.
So
It depends on if UTK wins, like how many games UTK wins.
yeah. So it comes down to what UTK gets and whether or not Louisville beats Towson. I think they can beat Towson. Like I think that'd be a very big upset if Towson takes that from Louisville. But that'd be interesting. That would be very interesting to talk about.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like for the most part, you know who should win, but there's still potential. It's not like they have to win game.
Okay, Worlds has gotten me like who should win. That's a fucking false statement.
Yeah.
No one ever lives up to expectations.
I think collegiate gets more definitive though.
Yeah, no, I'm just
Yeah, I
being
mean,
there.
If we did a pick here for like $1,000, like everybody would win $1,000 just because it's pretty big.
Yeah, I'm down.
Like the difference between like picking for Worlds and picking for like this tournament is that the discrepancy in skill between like the top teams, just in terms of purely mechanical 1v1 individual skill, the top teams are so much better than the bottom teams that it's like kind of obvious.
Yeah,
Whereas like at Worlds, like
everyone matches up equally.
Jensen and X mid isn't that much. It's more the team play.
Yeah, macro's way more
whatever.
important at the top level.
Yeah,
No,
definitely.
I was pretty much memeing it there, but it's also another big thing about expectations for Worlds is we haven't seen anything of those Worlds team for like 2 months. Like, I mean, TSM, the last time we saw them was when they won against IMT at the NA LCS finals. So basically, an entire month of not seeing how they improved. C9 looking like shit when they were coming in, and again, we didn't get to see anything about their boot camp, and then they show up, and it's like, oh yeah, they are actually NA's last hope. So I think that's a big thing. It's just like a month is a long stretch of time, and anything can happen. And whoever improves the most during that month is going to come out on top, as we've seen from EU, who didn't look very good coming through this tournament.
And not TSM.
Yeah,
They
and
got
not
worse.
TSM.
They got worse.
Well, they just
boy.
stayed bad because they kept Svenskeren on their team. God.
Oh, boy.
I can
I don't know.
bitch about that all day. Hey, so we were talking about it. So yeah, UTK and Towson have a very hard. I think it's going to stay the top 4 teams though. UC, VT, VCU, and Louisville. I don't think it's going to be an upset.
I would agree with you. I think it would probably stay the same. If we're being real. But
Yeah, Joe, Freddie.
UTK, do it.
Yeah, UTK has the best chance. I will say that.
Yeah, my boys in orange. I want them to show up, but I don't think they can. But I want them to. I have my
it will be
faith.
interesting how they come up. Like, I think what's the most interesting with a tournament like this is what happens the next season after the first one. Because the first one is when where everyone shows up, no one knows what's going on, and then gradually everyone gets more familiar with each other. Then you have
more competitive too.
yeah, and then you have the end of season. and then whoever does the most during that ends the season and shows up like the day one of the what will be the spring split of this tournament. That will be interesting because what happens if Kentucky over the winter break has a huge recruiting drive and then they show up and they beat UC in their first game. Whew.
Oh, is it confirmed they're doing 2 splits?
I thought
one
that's
tournament
what
per
I thought that's what was
semester,
happening. I thought
possibly?
there's going to be a spring and there was going to be a fall tournament for the EEC. I thought that's what happened.
I don't think it's been confirmed, but
Yeah,
I'm sure
that's
what they theoretically are doing.
because they said that starting the spring semester, both League and Overwatch will be EEC games. So I was assuming by that statement that there will be both a League and Overwatch tournament series going on.
Oh, so does that mean that all the teams? So basically, if we're gonna compete in EEC, we have to field both a League and an Overwatch team to fill both
Okay.
leagues,
Someone
or is that how it works? Or
Someone asked that in the main the.
Well, you guys do have an Overwatch team.
we do, yes, we
Yeah.
do.
I
was just curious for other teams.
I think Ryan said yes. You can quickly look through the main disc, not the EC one, the main one.
Would it have been any question?
I think someone asked that in the general, will we have to field a team for both if we're in this conference? And I think one of them said yes.
Yeah.
how
It was
to-
specifically they were asking, if we want to have an Overwatch team, do we have to have a league team? What's the specific question? They said,
Oh yeah, in order to have an Overwatch team compete in the ACL or ACEL, do we have the League of Legends team as well? And then Brian said yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to compete, do you have to field both, or do you have to have a League of Legends team minimum? And I feel like that'd be dumb, so I'm assuming both.
Yeah, I was thinking both.
I would assume same.
Alright, so yeah, if they bring in Overwatch, I'm assuming that all the colleges. So that would actually be interesting too. I'm actually really curious to how Overwatch will look because of the league starting up here soon and whatnot. But again, side conversation. So VCU TK, I say VCU. I think we all agreed on VCU. Kentucky versus Towson. Towson.
No arguments here.
Yeah.
No.
I don't think Kentucky can beat anyone in this tournament. And then Louisville versus Cincinnati. Cincinnati. I think Louisville might be able to take a game off of them, but I think it'll be 2-1.
I think it'll be 2-1. I agree. I think it'll be 2-1.
Well, I think it would only be 2-1 if you see trolls.
Oh, really?
If?
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
your thing is if. So when they troll,
Yeah, I guess.
this is how I think it's going to go. I think UC is going. I think their first draft is going to be as serious as their second and third draft. I think their first draft they're going to be kind of relax and maybe pick something slightly dumb, and then Louisville will
yeah.
take advantage of it. And then after Louisville has proven that they can call them on their shit, basically, they'll take the next 2 drafts seriously and then just win.
They have shown UC has shown a willingness to try things in game one,
You mean
where
try
they'll
ADC?
they'll play triple ADC or
Or
and
Soul
Japanese
Jungle?
import responded inside the Discord and said oh, that was just a siege comp he wanted to try.
Yeah.
So they shown they have the willingness to try different comps
And
out.
that's the
actual
scariest
games.
thing about UC is their confidence. If you're willing, you're just basically saying, oh yeah, this first game we're just gonna try something because we know we can be down a game and still pull out this series. That's a really big confidence.
Is that more confidence or being cocky?
Well, it depends on their opponent, right? Because
they
against
both,
us, they're not gonna do that. I can tell you that right now. They won't troll. They won't try a comp out in game one.
Oh, they already tried to take that easy victory and tried to say we should both just have troll picks, but we're not gonna do
I
that.
heard that. Yeah.
I will make sure that we stomp them 2-0 in playoffs.
Ooh, big words from Joe Jacko.
Oh, Joe.
Wait, so our playoffs-
do you even
our
think we're
playoffs
gonna drop
all-
a game for the rest of this?
Oh, absolutely not.
The
I think
tournament, no.
I'll tell you right now that mid lane's going to go one way, and it's going to go my way.
Shit.
Wait,
dude.
so are playoffs best of 3 or best of 5?
5.
Wait, all playoff games
They
are
should be
best of
5. I
I
think
mean, they
they're all best
should.
of 5.
Oh wow, that would. When do playoffs even start? By the way.
This is an interesting thing, actually. Did you know finals? So finals are the 11th, right?
Mhm, And they're
November.
played at West.
And they're played at West Virginia.
Yeah. That was
When does ranked end? And the preseason begins.
That's Ryan already addressed that.
Are we gonna be forced to play on a different patch? Because that's pretty.
Yeah. No, Ryan
dumb,
already
in my
addressed that.
opinion.
He
Oh, he did.
Yeah,
Okay.
he posted in one of the Discord. It's always hard to keep track of which Discord he posted in. He's trying to talk with Riot about getting a like tournament client, so we have like the preseason patch, whatever. Like so, I think this patch because the next patch is preseason patch, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's trying to talk with Riot so that we can get a dedicated. Because I mean, everyone can agree that if we have to play on the preseason patch when like that'd be like what, a week after it comes out? Like probably not even a week because they usually
No,
like
I think it's like literally like 2 days.
Yeah.
Because doesn't it end like
the finals are the 11th and the season ends on the 7th, so it's
yeah?
only 4 days.
So everyone can agree that's like super dumb to have like the finals of a tournament to be
Sure.
like right after preseason comes out because no one's going to know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So he's trying to, and I really hope that he does come through because otherwise it's going to be a super cheesy finals.
Yeah,
And that's going to be
not-
something that gets addressed future because you can't go later because you start hitting like finals / Thanksgiving stuff.
Yeah.
So you can't give more time for players to get used to a preseason patch. So we have to get a tournament client with a preseason patch. Otherwise, this like fall season will always be like kind of memey at the end because again,
I mean,
it's whatever
they
Riot
could-
does.
They could also, so it's the 11th, right? They could just move everything on to offline on the 4th. Because don't we have semifinals on the 4th, but they're not held at WVU. They're held online.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe maybe if they can't secure the client, they could move it up. I don't know how they're scheduling thing, but
Yeah,
if they really wanted to maintain the competitive integrity.
Yeah, and
Tournament.
it's not like they haven't realized that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Ryan's trying to work on and like the rest of his staff are trying to work on a solution to that. Because I would be pretty bored of that. Like, I'm really looking forward to the finals because I think it's going to be interesting for like whoever is the first winner of this tournament. But it'll just be like super memey of whoever if it's just the preseason patch. Because that patch isn't going to be balanced. That's like
No.
unreworked Courage of the Colossus right there. Like, whew. Or like first iteration Thunderlords. That's gonna be
So
fun.
basically, whoever wins is whoever figures out
What's the most
OP
broken?
the first.
Yeah.
First. Exactly.
I don't know about whoever wins. I think you mean us beating Cincinnati. I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah, no, I mean, I agree. It's gonna be a 2
I don't
or
know, dude.
3-0, but
Like, what's the meme ranking of your team? Like, I thought UC held rank 1 in both memes and power rankings.
I don't know. I'm surprised they didn't.
not
forget
according to
about
the
the
chocolate
intro.
man. Not
the
according
choc-
to the chocolate man.
So,
Wait, Chalka Man, what's the meme rankings of these two teams? Who's gonna out meme the other team if it comes down to it?
wait, between which two?
UC and VT.
I don't know. UC's meme game is pretty nice. I don't know. Those guys are pretty funny.
Wait, we got general chat shut
Yeah,
down because we were
exactly.
memeing so hard.
That was more
How are we not up? Number
Chase
one.
is just very intense. So I don't-
Exactly. Our memes got the whole general Discord channel shut down. I don't know how you can't put us number one.
dude, I don't know.
I don't know.
But going back to the original topic, it's getting worked on. Hopefully, the finals don't come to that.
Yeah.
So we've gone over predictions. We talked about current standings, our thoughts, and whatnot. So this is where we usually will end the show. We can go a little bit longer if you guys want to, because I know Worlds, like the group stages just ended, so that's on a lot of our minds. If you guys want to talk about that, if not, we can just call it a break here, and we'll save that
Ooh.
for our next week's show.
Can we actually since we have all VT VCU people here, do you want to talk about the VT VCU game in 2 weeks? I don't know if we addressed it at all.
Wait,
Oh.
so Cameron,
Also-
what we should do for week 8,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the Sunday before they play, we should have VCU people on here. I think
Okay.
that'd be so spicy.
That makes
Oh,
a lot more sense, right?
Are they getting the? Oh, because you guys are gonna have a show right before, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Oh, I
wait,
got you.
The
hang on.
Sunday before the Monday before you guys play.
because this is
Freddie.
week 6, week 7. Yeah, you're right.
This
Wait, hold up.
I didn't follow anything you just said, to be honest. But
So
Wait,
the
no, it won't.
Sunday,
It'll be
the Sunday before the Monday
no,
before
because
you.
no,
no,
it's not.
that's wrong, Freddie. Because we do it. So we'll do it the Sunday after the game. If we keep
Yeah.
our current schedule,
the Sunday
we
That's what I thought it
can.
was.
I'm perfectly fine with doing a podcast the Sunday before that game, and that's something we'll have to talk about after this. But right now, how our schedule works is that'll be the week
Yeah,
after
by the
and
week.
going to week 9.
Yeah. Okay, never mind then. I thought I was timing it right. I guess
No,
not.
we can talk about that afterwards, but
Yeah.
yeah. So we can talk about a little bit about the Tech versus VCU game. So, as I said, I think that's the best game coming up, and I'm really sad if it doesn't get streamed, and I hope we can maybe change the schedule a little bit, because I think that's the most interesting game coming up.
Yeah.
Because your players, obviously you have a lot more tier advantage against VCU. I think Playdark is our highest tier player, and I think he's Masters. Meanwhile, everyone else is sitting, I think, at highest D3, at lowest D5. But I also know a lot of them don't grind as much ranked. But they have been grinding a lot of scrims. So I can't really put that down to individual skill. And I think, at least I know our top laner. Top lane's going to be so fun to watch in that game, because it's just going to be our top laners are just going to tear into each other.
I mean, Chase is gonna come out on top, but
Oh shit.
I mean, I just
is-
oh, go ahead.
That
Go
kind
ahead,
of reminds me of Boltos. It's just really he doesn't have an on-off switch,
He's just always
Just
on,
keep
yeah.
in there.
And
Yeah.
Andrew, our top laner, he just plays super aggressive. I've had to watch him for a judge and just see he's very calculative with his movement. Every micro decision he makes is he's thought it out. His Fiora especially is pretty scary to watch, at least in my opinion. But no one sees it anymore because of all the nerfs to Fiora. Might see it again, never know. But yeah, he's very good on those bruisers / split pushers. It just kind of comes down with the coach's call for him to play during that matchup. Because his Jax is good, but I really think his Camille / Fiora are very interesting to watch. And I don't think I've actually seen you guys play, so I don't know who your top laner usually plays top. And I heard that he plays Riven, but that's it.
He's a Riven main.
Journey
He
Riven main.
plays a lot of carry tops, and he's actually been working pretty hard to implement and add to his pool more tanky champions. But I mean, the thing that's so good about Chase is that even if there was a top laner that can match him in lane and go 1v1 with him, which I don't think there is in this tournament, Chase will just randomly make a macro shot call just out of nowhere, and it'll get us 2 towers or just something random. And it's something that nobody else considers. And so that's just such a huge advantage for us that we just have someone who can just randomly make a call. Last week against WVU, they were setting up a 2-man to take top tower because it was low and they were gonna get first brick tower, first blood tower. And Chase just randomly TP's bottom because the wave was shoving in, and he knew he couldn't contest the tower. And we 3-man the bottom tower and got it before they could react, and just stuff like that.
Yeah,
is
just the decisiveness.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that's that's a very big one. The mid lane, I feel is a very interesting one because I feel there's going to be a certain VCU mid laner who's going to insist on starting because he wants to maybe
Zach's
show
gonna want to play.
yeah,
against us.
show off a little bit.
I mean, Zach couldn't even beat me in mid, so I don't know how he's gonna beat our main mid.
Yeah,
Let's get hot here.
I feel bad for
Yeah.
Zach listening to this, but I know he won't
I'm
because there's
just
no
saying.
timestamps.
Oh, I mean, Zach believes that he's better than me at mid, but all I gotta
Yeah,
say is
I know Zach's very
RMU.
cocky.
That's it. That's all I gotta say.
I my favorite part, and it's just so hard because I feel VCU does well because we have a lot of good players. I don't think we have anyone who's like extraordinary, like like how you see like everyone always talks about Japanese import, and like how you guys have like Chase, who's like the star, like Chase, Joe, like you guys are all like really high tier players who are like really like shiny. VCU just has a lot of like just solid players, and that's why VT is going to be very interesting. And like, can like that solid like hold up in the game or not? That, and I'm going to just love watching like the lane versus lane matchups of mid and top, because I feel like those are going to be bloodbaths. Either way, I think so. That's why I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a very tense series, and incoming of one of you guys saying it's going to be 2-0. So
I mean,
yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm already confident we're going to 2-0 UC, so may as well 2-0 VC while we're at it.
yeah, just stop by the like 7-Eleven, pick us some milk. Oh, there's a 2-0 for VCU as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying this, but I'm obviously not intending any like bad blood or anything like that. I think it's just fun, but I don't know. I'm very interested. I hope Zach will play against me, but obviously I want to play against their best composition. So if that's not their best composition, then I don't want to play that.
I'm telling you right now that I know Zach, and he's gonna insist on that he plays against VT. So, I'd be very surprised if they.
I can see that happening too.
Yeah, like I think it'd be very hard to get him to not play that game, because I know he's gonna want to try to flex on you guys.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's going to be the amusing part.
But that's fine. My boy Joe Jack is gonna hold it up in the mid lane.
Again, I feel bad for Zach if he was listening to this, because I know he tries to, but there's no timestamps, so.
He doesn't listen to the timestamps. I mean, because there's no timestamp. That's so stupid.
Man, I can.
Put it on the back.
Yeah, I might as well adjust this on this podcast if everyone's still listening, because there's no timestamps. But yeah, I don't have any control over the YouTube channel, so I can't put timestamps in even if I wanted to. And I would, by the way, if I had control. But for me to have control over the YouTube channel, I would have to they would have to give me the email and password of it, and therefore I would be able to see all like business decisions that they, because it's like their main email. So I'd get to see literally every email they saw, or they sent or received. So honestly, since I'm not part of the staff, that's a very bad thing for me to do. So I have been thinking about it. Starting probably like our season 2, I might just move it to my YouTube channel, because I'm also going to start uploading just caster VODs that I do to it and be more active on it. So I might as well just move Hindsight to that, and therefore I can implement timestamps and like a decent subscription and whatnot. So that's just, again, we're going to do a lot more with the podcast starting next season. This was kind of just our like beta of like whether or not we like doing it or not.
I mean, you could always play them with the timestamps, right? I mean, you could link it to somebody, I'm sure. They could take care
and
of
they could maybe post it or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I just.
It's a lot to keep up for just to do all that, though, because you just have to like. I don't feel like it's worth it unless you. I think
the timestamps are worth it, but I also I feel like the show also goes to whatever it's called. Like we kind of jump around too much, and we don't keep like a consistent like structure. So
yeah,
I think that's also, again, stuff we'll work on for the next iteration of this show, which there will be. Okay. Does anyone else have anything to add, or I feel like it's time for us to close up here?
I just wanted to say, I think another interesting part of our matchup with VCU, I think our bot lane is going to do like the exact same thing you guys' bot lane does, which go even.
So we're going to have a 20-minute resin sleeper?
But Francis is better. And
just got to throw that in there, don't
ADC,
you?
So he's just going to position better in team fights and play the team fights better. So I don't know.
All I heard is that it's going to be a resin sleeper lane for 20 minutes, so never going to look at it.
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard to kill bottom lanes with the
heal barrier and
heal barrier, Tarks and Bray, or what's it?
Relic shield.
Targons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty dumb.
Triple healing pot star. Oh, baby. Such an interesting lane to play all the time.
Mm-hmm. At Freddy.
What's up?
Don't you love playing bot lane meta nowadays with a heal barrier, relic shield starter, ADC? So they never.
Let's not talk about it. Please.
Well, I think that wraps up our third show here today, Hindsight Season Episode 3. As always, I've been Cameron Scurry Pilato. I usually cast for EEC when they don't have anyone else. I don't think I'm casting until week 8 and whatnot. Other than that, I just randomly cast stuff. If I do something that's not like for our esports club, I usually just post in my Twitter, which is just twitter.com/secure_Hades. And that's about it. I always let my wonderful friends who joined me today whore themselves out, starting with Freddie. I know you just stream, right?
Yeah, I stream occasionally. So my stream is at twitch.tv, freaking SizzleKid20, and that's where I go and try to win games, but I never do. But sometimes I'll just like as of recently, I just bought the new South Park game, so I'll try to.
Oh, I saw that came out. I really want to play it.
Dude, yeah, it's coming out in 2 days. I'm so hyped for it. But yeah. So if anybody wants to come see footage of that, it's at twitch.tv. SizzleKid20. Don't have a Twitter. Don't want to get off my Facebook, so that's it.
You don't want to stalk you. And then our lovely guests, Gavin and Joe, if you have anything you would like to whore out, you're welcome to.
Nope, it's just me, your boy.
Joe's boring. Gavin, you got anything?
I mean, I stream sometimes, but very rarely. At Gavin M97, and I don't know, all my accounts are Gavin M97, so pretty much. You can add me if you want. I don't really care.
I'm going to go do that right afterwards. Anyway, thank you for joining us all on Hindsight Episode 3. We'll be back here potentially next week. Again, after we'll talk about it for the good old like VT versus VCU talks. Other than that, the regularly scheduled show will be October 29th, I believe, is that Sunday. And right now we have it set up that we'll have the president of the U of L club joining us on that one, and hopefully Zexter will not be in traffic, so he'll be returning with us. Thank you everyone for listening, and hopefully we'll see you in 2 weeks.